What's good, everybody? It's your boy God Set Me Free here, in with another installment. Happy 2018. Gosh, 2018 is here, guys. Today's January 10th, I believe, and I just wanted to welcome you all to a happy new year. I hope that this year is going great for you already, and if it's not, don't worry. I believe this message is going to lift you up. I believe it's going to empower you. I believe it's going to give you something that you need so that you set this new year off on the right start. So what I wanted to do today is give you guys a snippet of a teaching that I did just a couple of days ago at Promise Life Chapel. And I will later post that actual teaching on the YouTube channel. And I titled the message, "The Dry Season is Over." And the three main things that I wanted to focus on today was the three things that we have to let go in order for 2018 to be a better year for us. So what are those three things? The first thing I believe we need to do is let go of our pride. Our pride gets in the way of a lot of correction, and I believe that wholeheartedly. In my own personal life, I know that I wouldn't have gotten to where baseball took me had I not listened to the correction when it came. If I was too proud because I thought I was too good at what I was doing, I would have never been able to receive the feedback that I needed in order to get to the next level in baseball. And thus, I believe a lot of us do not get to where we need to get to in our own careers, in our life, even spiritually, because we don't allow for correction to come into our life. And I believe that that's why it's such a good reflection when Jesus speaks to the Pharisees, because we watch time and time again as Jesus convicts the Pharisees. The verses that I used specifically was Matthew 23 verses 1 through 4. The verse itself doesn't necessarily speak to pride, but when you really look at the context, this is what it says. It's saying that Jesus is talking to his friends and his disciples about the Pharisees. Let's use that into common days. So imagine if Jesus was talking to his friends and his disciples about you, and he's trying to get through to you, but you can't because you're not allowing for the correction to happen. We gotta drop our pride. Let our pride fall so that we may be able to receive what God has intended for us in the new season, and that comes through correction. The second thing that I think we need to do is know the difference between a change of environment and a change of a season. So God always operates in seasons. He likes to close doors and opens up new doors, and those I believe are seasons. But if we don't allow God to lead us through a new door, then we might just be changing the environment and not the season. Now I'm going to give you two examples of that. Let's talk about Judas really quick. So Judas, the man that betrayed Jesus, he was the same person he was before he met Jesus, and he remained the same person while he was with Jesus. He had a change of environment, but he didn't have a change of season. And then I like to use somebody else, Paul, and more specifically Acts chapter 9 verses 3 to 9, when we look at Saul's conversion into Paul. So we see that Paul is going to Damascus to slaughter and or arrest Christians, and he gets this divine appointment by Jesus. Jesus comes down and literally puts him on his knees in the middle of the ground amongst a whole other crowd of people. We see the first encounter of Jesus to Paul. And it's so profound because this is what the difference was between Judas and Paul. Judas was not willing to drop everything that he was in the last season, but Paul was. And that's why Jesus believed that Paul would be such a great testament to the early Christian movement, because they knew that he would be willing to drop everything that he'd ever done. All the things that he did against Christianity, they knew that he would drop it because he saw Jesus, because he encountered Christ, a true encounter. And that's really what tip number 2 is about in our life. Are we able to decide whether or not the decisions that we've made in our life have been led by God, or they were for our comfort? So did we change jobs because it was a change of environment for us, but it really wasn't a change of season because we didn't leave behind the things that we did in the old job and just brought them over to the new one, the issues, the complaints, things like that. And I use this analogy in the teaching, and I think it's appropriate here. You know, if we stepped on dog poop on this patch of grass here, right, on this one here, and we didn't wash our feet, and we stepped over to the greener patch, which is what we believe is the new season, it's the fresh start, it's all that stuff, we brought the poop over to the new patch. The stink was the same. It was a change of environment, but not the season. So make sure you go to the Lord about these kind of things, because you want his decisions to be your direction. You want his decisions to be your direction. And in order for that to successfully happen, you have to be able to let him lead you. And when he leads you, he puts you into new seasons. He doesn't just change your environment. And the last point that I believe that we need to make sure that we can successfully let go of in order for us to step into a new season is the sin that we latch onto, or rather the sin that latches onto us. So the things that have kept us down for so long, the things that have kept us not fully invested in God, in some of the areas in our life that we know that we need to improve on. I believe that if we can sincerely tell ourselves that the sin that we've committed in the past, Jesus has forgiven, and through grace he's given us a new opportunity to change, we can step into a new season in confidence and not feel like we're not worthy. And a perfect example in the Bible is James, the brother of Jesus. And in James chapter 1 verse 5, we hear James tell us that if we need anything from God, if we seek wisdom specifically, but in reality, if we need anything from God, do not be afraid to ask him, because he so willingly wants to give it to us. But if we're going to ask, please be sure that we do not, and I repeat, do not have a divided loyalty. And I think that that's so powerful, thinking about who James is, because James was somebody that we heard nothing about, but randomly just got a book in the New Testament. And that tells me something. That means that Jesus's plan for your life has no omission, meaning that no one is omitted from the calling that Christ gives us. So no matter what James might have done in the past, or how irrelevant he was in Jesus's life while he was here on earth, Jesus still had a purpose for him and had a divine mission for James after his resurrection. You know, it says in the Bible that James was one of the few men that Jesus decided to reveal himself to, and I believe that that was for a purpose. It was for us. It was so that we can see that no matter how long we were away from God, that we can still receive an encounter from him. Can I get an amen? And that pretty much sums up everything that I was talking about in the teaching. I really hope you guys get to watch the teaching after this. Please make sure to check out the next video once it's up. I go into a lot more detail about the 3 points that I just made, and I do believe that just with these simple 3 points, we can start 2018 on a right path. The dry season is over. Why? Because there is a cloud beginning to swell in our life, and Jesus is the one that brings the rain into our life that we need in order to grow the new grass that we need to walk on. And because of that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that this year will be a great year for you. If you allow correction, if you allow your pride to be broken, if you allow your discernment to be led by God, and if you allow the sin to fully be let go, I know that 2018 will look miraculous for you. As always, everybody, I hope that you really enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you can, and make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And like I always say, come with me so we can get closer and closer to God as we get further away from the world. God set me free.